Hello and welcome to a video talking once again about spheres. Today we are talking about the spheres from the Eneroth series of quests and raids and all that fun stuff. So, there are 6 spheres to talk about here, so really quickly let's talk about how to get each of these sets of spheres because they're broken up into 3 different sets technically. There's the Vulcan Axe and Ignacius Staff you get from clearing raid class X3. I linked to that in the description down below so you know which raid to go for. The second set is Vorpal Chain Blades and Aeron's Aegis, however you want to pronounce it, which you get from clearing raid class X4, and Nyami Spells and the Rider Staff, which you get for clearing and completing. I forget the name of it, so the icon is on screen right now. Aegis Fusion. All of these spheres are used for the extra skills of various units. You can probably guess who based on the color of the sphere itself. So without further ado, let's talk about the spheres themselves. So the first sphere is the Vulcan Axe, which is a good damage dealing and elemental weakness damage sphere. You can actually use this like fairly late into getting more and more spheres. Like this will last you for a decent while, especially for fire units. You can use this outside of fire units for some of the buffs that it provides, but it's used very well for fire units for reasons you see here. So it gives a good attack stat boost, so you just get a big attack number, which is easy. Attack stat is easy to cap, but it's very nice seeing that number getting really big. It gives more crit damage, which means they're just doing more damage in general. More elemental damage. So that's, again, just more damage. Crit damage does have a cap. Elemental damage does not. So just keep on cycling all that elemental EWD, and you should be good on dealing damage. Another really cool thing that makes it useful outside of fire units is the big gauge fill on crit. So the more crits you get, the more of that Brabus gauge you fill up. I think I don't know if it's like the first time you crit or every time you crit it fills up, but you're still gonna like fill up that Brabus gauge by a decent amount. Like 20 Brave Crystals is not a small amount. It's one of the better Brabus gauge fills on a sphere. Up next we have the Ignacius Staff, which is it's a decent sphere. Okay, it's used for Hale's extra skill. And there's only 2 things really worth talking about it. The Brabus gauge fill on Spark is amazing. You want that on your units. You typically want that from your Bravers or Super Bravers, but the more of that you have, the more likely you are to fill up your Bravers gauge. So just having that on a sphere means you're going to get more, your Bravers gauge filled up a lot quicker, and therefore you're going to get more Super Bravers out a lot more quickly. Don't know what else to say. It fills up the Bravers gauge on Spark. Super good. You want that to deal damage. Speaking of dealing damage, it also boosts Bravers, Super Bravers, and Ultimate Bravers damage. And that's a thing? It doesn't boost it like a whole lot, but it boosts it a fair amount. So, added bonus, I guess. The next sphere is Vorpal Chain Blades, which is one of my favorite spheres, I'll be honest. And we'll get into why here. So, again, much like the Vulcan Axe, big attack, stat boost, always like seeing that. But, instead of doing crit and elemental weakness damage, it also has, it instead has Spark damage boost, which is another damage boost that does not have a cap. It's also very likely to inflict status elements. It's not guaranteed, but you have like a 25% chance on 3 different status elements and a 30% chance on the other 3, so you're very likely to inflict something. This makes it very good for Arena and Vortex Arena. And that's why I like using Vorpal Chain Blades, mainly for PvP stuff, because if you can paralyze or curse your opponents, they're not going to deal a lot of damage. So, yeah. I really like Vorpal Chain Blades. I cannot stress that enough. I highly recommend it if you want to do Vortex Arena. Pair it up with Karazhan's Excruciation or Wrath of Grant, and you're golden. I'm assuming that spheres are in play here. Up next we have Aeron's Aegis. I mean, you just gotta get it anyway. Like, it doesn't do a whole lot, okay? What it does, other spheres do a lot better, other units do a lot better. but you're gonna get it when you get Vorpal Chainblades. Like, Vorpal Chainblades is the reason why you do Raid Class X4. You don't do it for Aeron's Aegis. It's used for Mikhail's extra skill, I guess. But, like, eh. Moving on. The next two you actually get from Grand Quest. So you want to do that Grand Quest to get these two spheres. The first one is Nyami Spells. It's a rounded sphere. Out of context, that sounds very silly. But it just does a lot of things and not all that well. You want it for Nyami's extra skill, and that's about it. I should point out, regular Nyami, not Desert Paradise Nyami. Two different Nyamis. So like, it's just kind of there, I guess. Like, it doesn't do a whole lot. Get it if you like Nyami, and that's about it. And the Ignacius Staff is Aeron's extra skill sphere. It has some niche uses. If you're using an outdated Frontier Hunter strat where you use Aeron, the Ignacius Staff will help you out with that. It has the overdrive gauge fill rate is useful, but not so much if you have instant overdrive gauge fill. So it just speeds things up a little bit, but not a whole lot, and it gets a little bit outclassed by a different buff. However, the beverage gauge boost on Spark is super nice if you're missing it. That's not what it does. I messed with my notes. It boosts beverage gauge on turn end, which is decent if you're missing beverage gauge boost on Spark. Again, this works a little bit better in that outdated Frontier Hunter strategy where you use Aeron to fill up your beverage gauge, your overdrive gauge. So if you have Ignacius Staff on him, it just makes that go by a little bit quicker. But yeah, like, these last two spheres you don't need to worry too much about, but you're gonna get if you want to be clearing the Grand Quest you get them from. You also need, for each set, so you want to go through, I think it's the last bit of Raid Class X3 or X4. It's both of them. I think it's the last quest, where you get the Mithril on the Orichalcum. You need 3 of each to craft all 6 of the spheres. So you need either Mithril or Orichalcum for Vulcan Axe, the other one for Ignacius Staff. One of them for Vorpal Chainblades, the other one for Aeron's Aegis. And same thing for Nyami Spells and Ignacius Staff. Like, it's very balanced. If you go through the proper quest 3 times, you will get the materials for all 6 of these spheres. And that about does it. So overall, the 2 spheres that you're really looking out for are the Vulcan Axe and the Vorpal Chainblades. So you're winding up getting, pretty much 4 out of the 6 spheres anyway. So why not go for those last 2? The other spheres are like decent-ish, but are kind of outclassed by newer spheres. So they're not super great, but the Vulcan Axe and Vorpal Chainblades make it worthwhile. And that about does it. So, if you thought this video was useful, leave a like down below. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe. If you want to be notified on when this content goes out, hit that bell button or follow us on Twitter, linked in the description down below. Also, there you can find the Discord server where we talk about Brave Frontier, help people out with Brave Frontier, and all of that fun stuff. And yeah, so see you guys in the next one. Thank you once again for visiting the Grand Gaia Library.